It's October 9th, 2023, and this might be my last garden video of the year. I say that because with the days getting shorter and it getting cooler, I don't know how much more I'll be able to harvest from the garden. I've harvested out of this garden as late as November 11th, Veterans Day, but I can't guarantee that I'll get another month out of it. Earlier, I was out here picking some of the Cajun bell peppers that had turned red. You can see this one here. It's small, but it's turned red. And this one down here is a little red, little green. There's a green one down there. There's another one starting. There's even a few buds on the plant. So this pepper plant has been producing really slow, but I picked two of these and said, wait a minute, maybe it's time to do a gardening video. Over here to the left of it, there's another pepper plant. I don't know what it is. It sort of sprouted up on its own, but it's too late in the season for anything. And the raspberries are still doing good. Over here, you can see the red bell pepper. It's a good size and it's starting to turn color, but I might have to pick it while it's still green. Here's another Fresno pepper. The first one that I picked ended up going on my pizza, and it was pretty good. You see there's more peppers here, green ones. This one's starting to turn red here on the end. So hopefully I'll harvest some off of this one and off of this one. Oh, and the one here on the end, it's the pepper on it's getting bigger. Let's check the one down on the other end of the garden. Yeah, the marigold's just growing over top of it. Get out of there. Yeah, it's still got a little green Fresno pepper on it. And this tomato plant, I tried routing it through the fence to kind of keep it out of the way. It's already come up some, but I don't think it's going to yield anything. It's just kind of late in the year. Sometimes miscellaneous seeds end up in the ground that I till up in the garden. Over on the other side of the garden, there's some raspberries coming in, and this lone green onion plant here that I cut down to the bottom beginning of the season is coming up pretty good. Last week I picked about half of these little red Thai hot peppers off of this plant. There's still plenty of them on there. We washed them and packaged them up and froze them. We're going to use them this winter in our chili. There's still plenty to harvest. This has done really well. I still would like to try to grow these from seed. Maybe I'll do that next year. Over on the other side here, candy cane pepper is still green. It hasn't turned colors. Oh, and there's another one up top. But I might have to pick these green and just cut them up and use them. They'll be mild, but I'd prefer if they kind of turn colors. It might make them a little sweet. Speaking of turning colors, this Cubanelle is starting to turn red. The other two on the plant are still green. I'll eat them either way, but I prefer if they all turn red before I harvest them. We'll see what happens. There's a little bit of cilantro in there. I was just going to cut that and feed it to our Uromastics. I really didn't do a lot with cilantro this year. The chives got bigger. We didn't actually use them this year, but I'm expecting the plant to survive the winter like it did last year and just sort of spread out. You can see the leaves are starting to come down. There's a whole branch off of a tree. This purple bell is kind of deformed looking, but it's been getting bigger, so should be able to harvest it here soon. The carrots are still doing good, but I'm willing to bet that they're really short. So I might just leave them and see if they come back up next year, or I might try to harvest one. Maybe if I do another garden video, I'll pull a carrot. The marigold I transplanted over here is doing good. The marigold I transplanted over there is doing pretty good. Green onions over here are coming up pretty good. I cut pretty much all of those, and they've all come back, and this one's growing like crazy with all these mint plants just taking over. Purple bell over here is doing pretty good. Potato plants doing pretty good. Even the strawberries I planted over here, they're coming up. The carrots did come up, or I should say they started to sprout, but then a rabbit came over. I was in the garden one night and I noticed a rabbit to the left there and scared him away, and then I looked and he had been chewing on these, so I had to put down some more of that powder that repels deer and rabbit. I hadn't done that for a few days and it had rained some, so it did its job. Hopefully these come up next year. At the tops of the red onion plants, I've got these seed pods or whatever you want to call them, and I just buried a bunch of them and this onion grass come up. So hopefully next year I've got a lot of onions, but one thing I've noticed is that they don't get very big. So I'm not really too sure what I can do. I did use bone meal this year, but let's go ahead and pull this up and just see. Man, those are green onions. That should have been a red onion plant. Let's try over here. Yeah, those are green onions. So maybe I just have more green onions in here than I thought, and the red onions, well, here's one. Yeah, I just have these little bulbs. I just really haven't done too well with red onions over here, or yellow onions. I'm thinking maybe I need to put down more raised bed soil or something like that. Otherwise, oh, we've been harvesting a lot of green onions. Most of them are over here, though. We've harvested enough green beans for 2 meals. It looks like we've got some more coming in, so maybe we'll get a third harvest off of this. I know I've had to spray it some because throwing that powder up this high really doesn't work out so well. But yeah, the plants, the second batch of seeds that I planted did a lot better than what I thought. You know, look at these right here. Pretty good. That'll make a good thumbnail. This sweet banana pepper is ready to be picked. And these hot banana peppers, that one there on the other side, it's got to get a little bit bigger. These other two, hopefully they get to full size and I can harvest them. In the next section of the garden, this pepper plant that kind of came up on its own, already got 3 small bell peppers on it and some buds. I just don't know what ended up happening here. This red bell pepper plant has got some, what is this, 4, 5 decent sized green bell peppers on it. I might just go ahead and pick them green instead of waiting. The lunchbox red over here has got tons of peppers on it. This other one here, it's got a lot too. I did finally pick the little red bell pepper that could. I had to cut off some parts of it, but I was able to cut it up and use it. The jalapeno plant's been doing really good. This one could be picked. These need to get a little bit bigger, but we've picked something off of this probably every week after I was able to start harvesting off of it. These broken off stems from the tomato plant that I just shoved in the ground and watered kind of just took off. It was an interesting experiment to do. I have harvested some tomatoes off of it. You can see it's just taken off on its own. I'm gonna just run it here through the lattice. It's just kind of done its own thing. I mean, there's more tomatoes over here. I've got to harvest a bunch of these because the plant is still got a lot of green tomatoes on it, but you can see here that the plant is it's given up some. It knows it's the end of the season, but there's still some to harvest off of it. I don't think I'm going to get anything else off of this Cubanelle. Oh, there's more green tomatoes back there. I'm not going to get anything else off this Cubanelle, but I'm really glad that I got something off of it. And the Cardinal hybrid that was supposed to be red, that's really a purple bell, this is doing pretty good. The other ones haven't produced anything, but those seeds took forever to come up. And this was a green bell pepper plant, and it's done. I mean, there's some flowers and some buds here at the top, but it's pretty much done for the season. So I figured I'd end the video where I started it. over here at the Cajun bell pepper plant. Like I said, it could be the last video of the season, or I might be able to come up with something else. But for the most part, the garden has been pretty rewarding this year. I had a rough start. I really didn't have a lot of hope for it, but it came back strong, and I learned a few things. I'll apply that next year and go at it again. So now it's just time to water it and then spray it down and put down some powder. Call it a night. Thanks for watching.